So what I'd like to share this morning is preparing the brain for battle. Are we in a battle today? I'm so glad y'all don't hog tie me to one place. I like walking around. Is there a battle going on today? There is. But is there one worse to come? You know, as we look back in history, we look at the Holocaust, we look at the Reformation, and probably what really got my brain to thinking, I was in Rwanda. And as I listened to the conference president tell me that his wife and 8 children were all slaughtered. To talk to people who no longer had any living relative, none. No parent, no grandparent, no child, no sibling, no aunts, no uncles, no living relative because they had all been slaughtered by the machete. It was terrible. In just 100 days, right at 1 million people were slaughtered. The Hutus, over the radio it came, kill the roaches, is what they told me. Kill the roaches. And the Hutus slaughtered the Tutsis. And I will not go into the graphics of what happened as they would tell me the stories. There's children here. I can't tell y'all. And it's going to be worse than that because Daniel 12:1 says, soon there'll be a time as never before. How do we prepare our brain for that? How do we prepare our brain for our children, our grandchildren to be slaughtered in front of us, our spouse to be slaughtered in front of us? How do you do that? We've got to get our brain ready. And that's what we're going to talk about this morning, preparing the brain for battle. Now, I like preparation. I'm a fire chief, and I believe in fire prevention and preparing. Just 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, I was in the school. This is a different time, but I was there again. October is Fire Prevention Month, and we go into the schools. When I started firefighting in 1980, versus today, we have much less residential structure fires based on, according to the United States Fire Administration, this right here. When we go into the school system, we teach these kids every year. It might be just 30 minutes, but that teaching, what they get every year, when they grow up and have homes themselves, we see less fires because of what they learned in the school system. And that tells you how powerful it is. Just once a year to teach kids for 30 minutes, and I test them when I go back. I tested them a week and a half ago. Tell me, what did I teach you last year? And we went over each of the items, and boom, they remembered. Could we do that with health? Could we do that with a number of things? The gospel? Absolutely. And so as I go in, as I teach the kids, prevention is so important. I teach them about cover your face, stop, drop, and roll. I have my firefighters come in so they don't think it's Darth Vader coming in and they're running away from them. And I teach them, no, this is who you run to. Don't run under your bed. Don't run in the closet. Come to these guys. We're here to get you out of that terrible burning house. And they get to know the firefighters. Prevention. Is this the time when you get off the fire truck and you go, where's that manual? I ain't read that manual yet. Let's see, Jaws of Life. Let's see here. How do you use that thing? Is that the time to learn how to use it? No, we need to be proficient. And in firefighting, we have a saying, you don't train until you get it right. We have a saying, you train till you can't get it wrong. Because human life is depending on you. And we have to be ready at any time. The drop, let me share something. This was does anybody like soccer? I'm not into sports like I was years ago, but I was watching, it was an illustration of how we have to be. And I don't think it's just firefighting. I think it can be when someone says, why do you go to church on Saturday? Boom, are you ready? Immediately? Or why do you believe in God? Boom. You respond. Well, it was a fire department down in South America, and they're sitting there watching the World Cup. Now, that doesn't mean as much to us here, at least to a lot of folks, at least in East Tennessee. Now, if it was a UT football game, that'd be a different situation. But they're watching the World Cup. There's a penalty kick getting ready to be kicked, tones drop. Those men jumped up, left the TV set, jumped on the fire truck, and left immediately. That's what you got to do. We have to be ready, prevention-wise, to know what to do. This was a situation where we had not trained for. It's a young girl who was in North Carolina and from Asheville. She just got her driver's license, just turned 16. Daddy, can I drive? Can I drive? They were driving over to Tennessee and on I-40, and he goes, no, the interstate is too dangerous. They get off on exit 451 as they came into Tennessee at the Waterville exit. They get off and they start driving towards the power plant. And she's, Daddy, can I drive? Can I drive? She goes, okay, you can drive. This is a safe road. He gets out, goes over to where his wife was sitting. She gets out, gets in the back. The girl comes up front, starts driving. It's not a long road. She starts driving. It's a narrow road, and she's going, the river's on her left. Her front tire drops off the road. There's a ditch there. One of my firefighters drove the fire truck off the road one time. Fortunately, he didn't do what she did. And what she did, because she was a new driver, she stomped on it, turned it, and poof, into the river. We did not have a swift water team yet. And I'm standing here only to help do some rope work and take a picture because we had not trained yet. Fortunately, there were some raft guides there that were able to help. What do we have today? We got a swift water team. We are ready for this. We were ready when Helene came through. This team right here rescued over 200 people out of their homes. Some of these guys were in helicopters and rescued almost 30 people by helicopter. And here we're able to get out there and rescue folks because we're prepared. If you have a structure fire, do you decide, well, I need to learn about fire science. How do you put a fire out? Well, no, you need to know what to do. And so we have to prepare. So the question this morning is how to prepare the brain for battle. And just as we have a systematic approach for teaching firefighters, I believe there's a systematic approach in preparing the brain for battle. And God has given it to us. And He actually gave it to us 162 years ago this past summer. Amazing, huh? So let's look. The first thing you want to look at is fuel. What fuel are you putting in your brain? Would this person be careful on what fuel they put in this car? Would this person be careful on what fuel they put in this car? Yes? How about this car? This car has 1,500 horsepower. It was redone by Mr. Petty. It has two fuel pumps. Each fuel line is 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And Mr. Petty told this man, you can no longer get fuel at the gas station. You have to get it from the airport, 115 octane. But what about this car? The S Cabriolet. And let's look and see what the manual has to say about the fuel they put in the S Cabriolet. It says, note, damage caused by wrong fuel. Even small amounts of the wrong fuel could result in damage to the fuel system, the engine, and the emission control system. Never use refuel using, and it tells what kind of fuel to not use. And then it says if you accidentally refuel with the wrong fuel, do not switch the engine on. I remember one time at SMC, I was on the fire department, and we'd worked a house fire that night, and we were plumb tarred. Back in the days when we ride on the back of a fire truck, we'd ridden back in, and I'm getting off, and the driver gets out. He's tired, and it's probably 3 in the morning, something like that. He gets out, and we have 2 gas pumps, or 2 fuel pumps. He put the wrong fuel in there. Fortunately, he had turned the engine off. Fortunately, he realized what he had done, and we had to leave it there till the next day till the mechanic could come and drain that tank. If you accidentally refuel with the wrong fuel, do not switch the engine on. It says then even small amounts of the wrong fuel could result in damage to the fuel system and the engine, and this is what's interesting, the repair costs are, what's it say? High. Can that be true to us? Do you ever refuel with a Twinkie? See, if you put a Twinkie in your mouth, it goes down your esophagus, down into your stomach, then into your duodenum, and then into your villi, then into your blood. Now you have Twinkie blood. And then it goes, where does the blood go? It goes to the brain, and now you got a Twinkie brain. Are the repair costs high when we eat wrong fuel? Absolutely. Or drink wrong fuel. Oh, I don't know what just happened there, y'all. Let's see. Oh, there we go. The brain is the organ and instrument of the mind and controls the whole body. In order for the other parts of the system to be healthy, the brain must be healthy. And in order for the brain to be healthy, the blood must be pure. If by correct habits of eating and drinking, the blood is kept pure, the brain will be properly nourished. One of my favorite things when I worked in healthcare was working with ventilator patients. And when the alarm went off, you either started with the patient or you started on the vent. And I always liked starting at the vent. And you just worked your way back. And usually the problem was at the patient. Well, God has given us here a systematic approach on how the body works physiologically. It says before you start treating the body, you must treat the brain. And the way you treat the brain is by having good blood, pure blood. And the way you have good blood is what? What you eat and what you drink. Yes, other laws of health affect it, but it must be real important. Denzel read. No, the little boy read. Yeah, where's our little reader? Where is he? What, Matthew? Matthew could have read, whatever you do all to the glory of God. Would that have covered everything? It would have. It'd been totally conclusive. But it kind of reminds me of one of the 10 Commandments. God loves us so much, He says, guys, don't forget this one. Remember. Does it say that? Remember. It must be important. Well, right here it says almost like, remember, whether therefore you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. So it must be pretty important of what we eat and what we drink. Think about it. I'm reading from Harvard University. Think about it. Your brain's always on. It takes care of your thoughts and your movements, your breathing, your heartbeat, your senses. It works hard 24/7, even while you're asleep. This means your brain requires a constant supply of fuel. That fuel comes from the food you eat. And what's in that fuel makes all the difference. Put simply, what you eat directly affects structure and function of your brain and ultimately your mood. Like an expensive car, Harvard says, your brain functions best when it gets only premium fuel. Do we only eat pure premium fuel? Last night we talked about where's the best fuel. It's in your backyard. It's in your garden. Yeah, it really is. Eating high-quality foods that contain lots of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants nourishes the brain and protects it from oxidative stress. The waste, free radicals produced when the body uses oxygen, which can damage cells. Unfortunately, just like an expensive car, your brain can be damaged if you ingest anything other than premium fuel. If substances from low premium fuel, such as what you get from processed or refined foods, gets in the brain, this is interesting, y'all. Take a look at this. This is the Twinkie thing. Such as what you get from processed or refined foods gets into the brain, it has little ability to get rid of them. That's the waste of the foods that we eat if it's not premium fuel. Diets high in refined sugar, for example, are harmful to the brain. In addition to worsening your body's regulation of insulin, they also promote inflammation. Is inflammation a big issue? Huge issue. It is a huge issue. And oxidative stress. Multiple studies have found a correlation between a diet high in refined sugars and impaired brain function. Who wants impaired brain function? Now, what are we talking about this morning? How to fix the brain so it runs well? No, preparing the brain for battle. The battle that takes place every day right now, does Satan tempt you on a daily basis? Is your brain strong enough, is it to deal with that temptation? That's what we're talking about this morning, and how to prepare the brain to deal with the problems that we have today, but even more so, the challenges to come. Even a worsening of symptoms of mood disorders such as depression. It makes sense. If your brain is deprived of good quality nutrition, or if free radicals or damaging inflammatory cells are circulating within the brain's enclosed space, further contributing to brain tissue injury from what? Brain tissue injury from what? What you eat, if it's bad stuff, if it's processed. Consequences are to be what? If I take my thumb out here and I slam it with a hammer, it's expected it's going to hurt. That's just horse sense, y'all. Y'all know what horse sense is? Common sense. It's going to happen. And so it says if you eat processed foods, it's expected there's going to be a damage. That's brain tissue injury. Consequences are to be expected. What's interesting is that for many years, the medical field did not fully acknowledge the connection between what? Mood and food, according to Harvard. Today, fortunately, the field of nutritional psychiatry is finding there are many consequences and correlations, not only what you eat, how you feel, and how you ultimately behave, also what kind of bacteria lives in your gut. And that's a whole week of study is the gut biome. It is huge. And MIT is doing some amazing research there. And this is Harvard Health. So who's ever ridden a steam train? Anybody ever ridden a steam train? What else? It's interesting. I was going over to Lisa's. I was on an airplane flying over to South Dakota, and I was sitting by a guy who's some supervisor guy for those coal fields out there. And he said, our coal is not good enough to put in a steam train. The BTUs aren't hot enough. He says, you need Kentucky coal. You need West Virginia coal to put in a steam train. What if you put toilet paper in there? Is that steam train going to go up the mountain? Not at all. You need that quality coal, that high BTU coal. We need food going into the body that is premium fuel to be able to have the energy. And so many people come into me and they say, Walt, it just happened. I came here Friday morning, Thursday, someone came in and he said, Walt, I need more energy. What can I do for energy? Well, what do you eat? What is your fuel? What do you eat for breakfast? I don't do breakfast. I said, I'm getting on an airplane in the morning, flying to Minnesota. And I said, I want them to put fuel in that plane in Knoxville. Does that make sense? I said, I grew up on a farm. Anybody grew up on a farm? Some of y'all. We were taught that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. And we got a good breakfast. And we need that good breakfast to get us through the morning. We got to put fuel in the body. And then a good noon. Now, we call it dinner at noontime. We don't call it lunch. We call it dinner. And we call the evening meal supper. So if you hear me talk that today, that's what I'm saying. And so we need a good dinner to get us through the afternoon. Now, we don't need a big old supper to sleep on. We need that big breakfast to get us through the morning. We need a good dinner to get us through the afternoon. The fuel. What is the best fuels for the brain? Anybody like avocados? Where are y'all from? No, next row back. Uh-huh.
From Kenya.
Kenya. Do y'all like avocados?
We love them.
Yeah, I was trying to teach them in Rwanda about fruits and vegetables, and you don't mix fruits and vegetables. They said you never go a meal without an avocado. That just ain't happening, so we had to negotiate. Beets, blueberries, broccoli, celery, green leafy vegetables, rosemary, turmeric, potatoes, asparagus, walnuts are the top nut for the brain. It's amazing. A lot of omega-3s in walnuts. Black walnuts are also good for the brain, but English walnuts are the best. And then the second key that we look at, psychology today. Neuroscientists around the globe agree that physical activity is the best medication to maintain brain health throughout one's lifespan. Would you agree? Yeah, it's huge, isn't it? Is it better than the other medicine that you've tried? It's huge. Exercise is amazing medication. Exercise improves the structure, function, and connection of your brain. This is psychology today. People who regularly perform aerobic exercise, such as running, jogging, brisk walking, swimming, cycling, I like the mini trampoline, have greater scores on neuropsychological function and performance tests that measure certain cognitive functions, such as attentional control, inhibitory control, connective flexibility, working memory, declarative memory, spatial memory, and look at this one, information processing speed. Is that important, information processing speed of your brain, when Satan comes and says, hey, you want to do this? Is it important? Or if something comes up and you're trying to think of that Bible verse, and Denzel and I were talking, just knowing the Bible now is so important. To be able to recall, is information processing speed important to pull it up quick? Absolutely. And exercise increases that. The transient effect of exercise on cognition include improvements in most executive functions, attention, working memory, cognitive flexibility, inhibitory control, problem solving, and decision making. When Satan puts something in your path, do we need to be able to do good problem solving? How about decision making? Yes. And so if you want to turbocharge that in your brain, you want to exercise. And this is cool. This is really cool. Now there's a guy, his name's Walt at Duke University. He was an amazing guy. He's a German physician. And he looked at little humans and he looked at big humans. And he found that little humans exercised 4 times a day. They had recess in the morning, recess after dinner, recess in the afternoon, then went home and played. That's what we did when we were kids. 4 times a day. So he started applying it on big humans. He found significant improvement in reversing diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and renal function, weight loss, brain function, just a number of things. But look at this. It says your information processing speed or physical activity, exercise, improves your processing speed for up to 2 hours after exercising. So if you're exercising 4 times a day, as Dr. Kempner recommends at Duke University, what's your processing speed increased by now? 8 hours. 2 hours times 4, 8 hours. Now that's pretty cool, to increase your processing speed by 8 hours. And there's no side effect of it. You know, like a pill has a side effect. Adequate hydration. Our brains depend on proper hydration to function optimally. Brain cells require a delicate balance between water and various elements to operate. And when you lose too much water, that balance is disrupted. Your brain cells lose efficiency. Years of research have found that when we are parched, we have more difficulty in keeping our attention focused. And you look at what children are drinking today, and maybe they just need, instead of a Ritalin, is some water. What are kids drinking? What are adults drinking? They're not drinking water. They'll ask me, well, can I count my coffee? It's got water in it. But yes, you're losing water because it's a diuretic. Now, the folks aren't coming to me anymore. They were when I went back to Tennessee 21 years ago. And those folks, I think, have died off now. But they'd say, Walt, can I count my moonshine? No, you can't count your moonshine. Water, plum water. Y'all know what plum water is? Has Donna taught y'all what plum means? It means totally, only. Now, if you want to make Donna real happy, tell her food is plum good, because that is the top compliment you can give to a lady from East Tennessee. But if Denzel tells her it's plumb awful, he better take off a running, because she's going to throw an orange skillet at him. We need plum water, just water. Dehydration can impair short-term memory function and the recall of long-term memory. Important as we're sitting there, as we have an opportunity to share the gospel. Or as a thing comes, there's a pastor friend of mine out on the West Coast, And if someone comes up to him in the church and he says, Pastor, can we do this? They're doing it down the road. He says, let me look at the manual. And he pulls out the Bible. No, it says we can't do it. But Pastor, they're getting all this involvement and everything. But it says no. Or they say, Pastor, can we do this? And he goes, well, let's check. And he looks and he goes, oh, we can do that one. You know, the question is, we need to have that long-term memory that we can be able to pull those verses up because we may not always have a Bible. My great-grandmother lived in Meridian, Mississippi, and I used to go and stay with her. And she'd put me to bed in the afternoons to take my nap to make sure I stayed there. She would sit and take a little rocking chair, and she'd sit there and read her Bible, memorizing verses. And I said, Mama, why you read your Bible so much? She says, someday we will have to answer and we will not have our Bible. Do we have the long-term ability? Well, it's telling us if we hydrate, we can have better long-term memory. The ability to perform mental arithmetic, like calculating whether or not you'll be late for work if you hit the snooze for another 15 minutes, is compromised when fluids are low. And there's a lot more important things that are compromised when we're dehydrated than just that. The effect of dehydration on the brain depends on the severity of dehydration. This is Psych Central. Mild dehydration may adversely affect mood, energy, or ability to concentrate. Is that important? Preparing the brain for battle? Absolutely. But how about this? This is Mayo Clinic. Severe or prolonged dehydration may cause serious cognitive impairment. And there are so many people who come into me who do not drink water. So could they have cognitive impairment? Absolutely. Delirium? Yes. Permanent brain damage or even death, according to Mayo Clinic. Every function. Who's ever read Dr. Batmanjati? Your Body's Many Cries for Water. Excellent book. I encourage you to get it. Batmanjati was probably the best physician or the best studier of the effects of hydration and dehydration. And Batmanjati says every function inside the body is regulated by and depends on water. Water must be available to carry vital elements, oxygen, hormones, and chemical messengers to all parts of the body. When I took a bunch of nutrition courses, but when I took nutrition, they always told us, they said water is the train car that carries the nutrients throughout the body. And if you're dehydrated, you don't have the train cars to carry it. And here it says, without sufficient water to wet all parts equally, some more remote, distal, away from, remote parts of the body will not receive the vital elements that water supplies. And so, yes, water in and of itself has nutrients in it, but also water is now considered a nutrient. It's now part of nutrition, according to WHO. But it's also, it carries those nutrients throughout the body. And if you are dehydrated, you're not adequately nourishing the body with the nutrients that you ate. Sunlight. Vitamin D, we talked about this last night, boosts cognitive acceleration. In a study led by scientists at the University of Manchester in England, they looked at vitamin D levels and cognitive performance in more than 3,100 men aged 40 to 79 in 8 different countries across Europe. The data showed that those people with lower vitamin D levels exhibited slower cognitive processing speed. That is a test that we all need to monitor. That is a lab test we all need to know. You do not know. As a story I shared last night, a person who was taking 40,000 IUs a day for 3 months still had a 24. Now, the lab will tell you that anywhere between 30 and 100 is good. But remember, we talked last night that neurologists say if it's less than 60, it's affecting your cognitive performance. Vitamin D deficiency is a current epidemic in our society, affecting 90% of the world's population. According to the vitamin D expert, Michael Hollick, we estimate that vitamin D deficiency is the most common medical condition in the world. That is vitamin D deficiency. It is clear that most people are not getting enough healthy sun exposure. Where did Adam and Eve sleep? Where did Adam and Eve sleep? In the garden, did they have a house? No. Did they work in an office? No. They worked outside, and God made us to be outside getting sunshine. And there are so many people who do not even see the daylight of the day. They go to work in the dark, they go home in the dark, and they don't even get exposed to any sunshine. Vitamin D deficiency increases brain degenerative processes. A study published in the archives, this is interesting, y'all, take a look at this. A study published in the archives of internal medicine showed that those who are classified as deficient in vitamin D were 42% more likely to have cognitive impairment. Meanwhile, those classified as severely deficient, and I see those, I have people come in and it says their vitamin D level is 7. That's low. I have people come in, it says undetectable. It doesn't even show up. And what does it say here? Meanwhile, those classified as severely deficient were 394% more likely to have cognitive impairment. You need to know what your vitamin D level is, and it needs to be, according to neurologists, higher than 60. Though your doctor will say, oh, it's fine, it's 31. No, it's not. Serotonin and brain function. Serotonin is an important chemical and neurotransmitter in the human body. It is believed to help regulate mood and social behavior. Do we need good social behavior? Now, what is our mission? I'm a big mission person. I mean, I worked in corporate America. It is just, do you have a mission statement at the bank? I'm sure you do. And if it don't fall within the mission statement, it don't get done because it's not part of the mission statement. That's just the way it is. What is our mission? To point the sin-sick soul to Christ. Are we all sin-sick souls? We are. To point people to Christ. That is our ultimate mission, y'all. If we have a bad mood, if we have bad social behavior, do you think somebody wants our God or our religion? Our religion of Christianity? No, they don't. I don't want him. What he's got, he's mean as a striped snake. What's his religion like? No. Appetite and digestion, sleep, memory, depression. Serotonin deficiency symptoms, poor memory, low mood, difficulty sleeping, low self-esteem, anxiety, aggression. You don't want someone like a bull in a china closet. When you do evangelistic series, you do Bible studies, do you want someone going in there like a bull in a china closet? No, but there are people like that. You're going to hell if you don't do this, is what they'll say where I live. That's not how you win people over and show the loving, the care of Christ. No. Temperance, making the right decisions. And that's important. And I used to think, well, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do drugs, and I don't do tobacco. I am temperate. Well, and it's not just, I used to think it's moderation in all things until I had kids. Moderation in cocaine was not an option in my house, nor moonshine. It's moderation in the good things, total abstinence in the bad things. And there's more things about making the right decisions. Yes, about what you eat, what you drink, what you're doing, but how about music? Is it important to make the right choice of music? I was at a gas station not long ago, and I pull in, and I tell you what, I don't see how these young'uns have hearing. They were listening, they drove by in a Jeep, and I mean that, it was rap music, and boom, 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 and it was talking about the not being respectful to law enforcement. Do we want our kids not to be respectful to law enforcement? No. Now, I'll tell you that law enforcement's not perfect. I work in fire. I'm a fire chief. I work alongside law enforcement every day, almost. I do, probably every day. And they got problems. A fire's got problems. We all got problems. But you still need them to respect them. Music's got some weird stuff in it. TV, how about TV? Do we need to make the decision of what we watch on TV? We do. Gaming, we talked last night about the guy who had been gaming for 4 days, and his eyes looked like welding burns, but it had been up for 4 days. Gaming to me is a waste of time. I got work to do. I grew up on a farm. There's work to be. I cannot imagine my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my father even thinking about gaming. Social media, is social media an issue? It is an issue. Did you see what Sally's husband got her? Did you see the vacation that Susie went on? It probably ain't even true. As we grow and develop, very specific chemical reactions activate and deactivate parts of our genome at strategic times and specific locations, essentially turning our genes on and off. Epigenetics is a study of those processes and the factors that influence them. Epigenetics, let me tell y'all, genetically predisposed, we are learning, is a misnomer. We're finding that genetically predisposed is probably one of the most misdiagnosed diagnoses. We're finding through MIT's research on epigenetics that you can change most of the gene issues by changing lifestyle. The rocks are crying out. Adequate oxygen, fresh air has many health benefits, improves the brain's ability to function, gives clarity to the mind, improves concentration. Do we need that? Do we need to have good concentration? We do, to prepare the brain for battle. Boosts learning abilities, gives a sense of happiness and well-being by altering brain levels of serotonin, promotes quality sleep, and kills bacteria and viruses in the air. And it's not just the quality of the air, it's how you breathe. There are people who breathe like chihuahuas. We need diaphragmatic breathing. Are you a music teacher? Okay, I remember Elder Crook at Georgia Cumberland Academy. It was my freshman year. I was able to get into Camerata. He laid us, the new Camerata members, he laid us on the floor, stuck a songbook on our stomach and said, learn to breathe where your stomach goes up and down. All right? If you play the trumpet and you want to hit a good high C, you better have diaphragmatic breathing. And we learned that people who have diaphragmatic breathing, that allows more air to get in and you discharge more waste in doing that, you live longer. You think better. Y'all know what thinking is, right? Y'all say think, we say think. Okay. Rest. A sleepy person's brain works harder and accomplishes less. A sleepy person's brain works harder and accomplishes less. A single night of poor sleep, and I'm reading from the University of California, San Diego, a single night of poor sleep is linked to less efficient filtering, meaning one's brain has issues picking out important or relevant nuggets of information from all the insignificant junk one's senses absorb. Is that important in preparing the brain for battle? There's a lot of junk out there, y'all. Do y'all get junk mail? I get a lot of junk mail. My emails, there's times literally that we get over 1,000 emails a day. Over 1,000. And if y'all email me and I don't respond good, I apologize. There's so much junk out there. And then a lot of people asking questions, but there is, and we got to go through it, and we got to have good discernment. Mayo Clinic finds the following on sleep and brain function. Getting at least 7 hours of quality rest each night is essential for optimal health. Sleep provides the foundation for all daily habits and what? Decisions. Have you ever not got a good night's sleep and the next day you just don't think good? You don't make good decisions sometimes? Is that the day you think? We got a guardian angel with us at all times. My angel, his name is Henry. And Henry's there taking care of me all the time. I don't know if you got your angel named or not, but I do. Henry's with me all the time. But do you know there's another angel trying to get me too? There is. Do you think it's watching when I don't get good sleep and I'm out on a fire call, a wreck, or whatever it might be? Or a house fire or whatever, my brain's not working as well that next day? Here's the day to get him. You know, we've been waiting on this one to tempt him with. It's true. Our brain doesn't work as well making those decisions when we're sleepy. All sleep deprivation can negatively affect mood and temperament, as well as one's ability to focus on daily tasks. Lack of sleep influences what and how much one eats. Sleep allows time for the mind and the body to recover from the day's work. During the rapid eye movement, REM stage of sleep, the brain sorts important information from the unimportant and files long-term memory. If this stage of sleep cycle is shortchanged, mental focus and acuity can decrease. And I see a lot of that with people. They're not sleeping through the night. It might be a fellow with prostate problems and he gets up 5, 6, 7 times. It might be a lady who has hip problems and she wakes up and then she worries about the kids and the grandkids all night long. You know what I'm talking about. And you're not getting that REM sleep. Now watch, sleep deprivation has the propensity to make one feel cranky and short-tempered. And maybe that's what's the problem with that person you got a problem with. They just ain't getting enough sleep. Sleeping less than 7 hours a night is associated with weight gain, diabetes, high blood pressure, depression, body aches and pains, reduced inflammation, reduced immune function, and impaired performance at work. American Heart Association now says if you get more than 2 days a week of less than 7 hours of sleep, you significantly increase your risk of a heart attack, of a stroke, and high blood pressure. More than 2 days a week of less than 7 hours of sleep. This is when the body and mind are well rested, one is able to respond to life with greater perspective and understanding. And I thought this was interesting coming out of science. When sleep can help boost one's motivation and willpower, making it easier to fend off temptations. There it is, right in science. And that was Mayo Clinic. The last one I'd like to talk about is in God we trust. Can anybody tell me where this is? What's the venue? What's it look like? Yeah, it's a schoolhouse. Who said schoolhouse? Denzel? It's a schoolhouse. Look at this. Every Florida school and administrative building will be required to display In God We Trust according to a bill passed by the Florida House on Wednesday. The bill states that the phrase must be displayed in a conspicuous place. When Tennessee K through 12 public students begin classes next month, the national motto, In God We Trust, will be required to be posted somewhere in their schools. I used to, when I went in the school system in Tennessee, and I've been teaching in the school system a long time, and I wanted to talk about In God We Trust, I'd tell the kids, pull out your money. What does every piece of money have on it? They could say that by reading off their money, but I could not say it. But just a week and a half ago, a lady said something, and it gave me an opportunity to share with those kids. They were sitting on those bleachers about what was in the principal's office that said, In God We Trust, and I could talk about it. And you know what one of the school teachers did? Because I was talking about In God We Trust. So important. Arkansas schools to display In God We Trust. A new law in South Dakota now requires all public schools across the state to feature In God We Trust motto on display. Kentucky is the latest of the line of states requiring the In God We Trust motto in our public schools. We've got it in our schools. We got it on our paper money. We got it on our coins. We have it. Do y'all have it on your police cars? Do they have it? We do. We got it on our police cars. We got it on our sheriff's cars. That's one of my fire trucks. We got it on our fire trucks. I asked, do you have it on your heart? Let's look finally. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. And I think that's a big issue out there today. People are trying to run on their own understanding. I believe this universe, the whole universe, falls down to 2 words. That's it. 2 words. Love is of God. Lucifer brought in a new word called self. Selfishness, whatever you want to call it. You either have a choice, love or self. And many times People are on their own understanding, what I want to do, and that's self. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. Prayer will give the sick an abiding confidence. And many times, if their cases are borne to the great physician in humble trust, it will do more for them than all the drugs can be administered. Wow, that's a strong one. And said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon them, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth thee. And last I'd say, trust in the Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto, again, thine own understanding. As we've looked at these laws today, yes, we've had them a long time. Actually, we've had these laws for 162 years. And what are we doing with them? We grew up with them. But I tell you, when I work with people and I identify if they're following these laws, if they're not following the laws, I can figure out why they have those diseases by just identifying if they're following those laws. It's phenomenal. And I encourage y'all today, yes, we have it on the fire truck. Yes, we have it on the police car, but put it on your heart.